Your mindset will dictate what you choose to eat. If you feel like shit, you're going to eat foods that reinforce that. If you feel great, you have purpose and you've got a bigger objective that requires a little bit of energy, then you're going to do things that support that as well.
If you're finding value in what you're watching, consider hitting the subscribe button and turning on the bell notification. Oh, and don't forget to drop a comment. I love hearing your thoughts and ideas. By the way, we have got a ton of other videos waiting for you. And if you are ready to level up your mindset, come hang out with us in our private Facebook group called Mindset for Business Success. Today we have with us Yuri Elkaim. Yuri is a former pro athlete, New York Times bestselling author, founder of Healthpreneur. Yuri helps health and fitness professionals grow their businesses while creating greater freedom and influence. With many years of experience building successful businesses and coaching high achievers, he specialized in helping entrepreneurs improve their health, energy, and productivity. Welcome to our show, Yuri.
Thanks for having me, Shahid. Good to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So you've worked with athletes, you're an athlete yourself as well, and high achievers. Can you share some simple health habits that entrepreneurs could start using to stay energized and focused throughout the day?
Yeah, I think the simplest one, to be honest, is just go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock and wake up at 6 o'clock, that's 8 hours of sleep. That's more than enough for most people. And if you maintain
keep it the same
all the time, like every day, 7 days a week, it's probably the same weekends, totally. And again, if you want to go out and party, that's your prerogative.
Yeah. But it's different. Yeah.
I like, for me, out of all the things that I've done over the years, is probably the single most important thing that I've done. And I still to this day do my very best. And because I just realize when you allow your body to just get into its normal circadian rhythm, as opposed to, we know that night shift workers have they have some of the worst health outcomes because their body's circadian rhythms are like all over the place. So if you went to bed at 9 o'clock, you woke up at 5, 10, 6, whatever, just consistent 7 days a week, it'll just set your internal clock in such a way that it'll help you feel more energized. Your metabolism will be stronger. Everything works better when you have that consistency on sleep.
Yeah. And even though I want to relax on the weekends, it's automatic, because if you wake up on a regular basis on weekdays at 5:45, 6, whatever, it becomes a habit.
I love getting up early on the weekends. I'm like, my mom's like, why don't you sleep in? I'm like, why would I sleep in? I mean, that's what people who struggle in life do. I'm like, I've got big goals. I want to do things. I've got 4 kids. So I get to wake up 2 hours before them. It's great. Get to do my stuff.
Definitely is. The energy is so high when you're in that momentum of business and life and excitement that sometimes you feel like sleeping wastes a lot of that, and you get excited to live. It's just that mindset. So now, obviously, mindset, I believe, is everything. But can you share what you feel the connection between mindset and success is when it comes to, or what role does health or nutrition play in the overall mindset that is needed for success?
Nutrition obviously is important. I would say, so in my book, The All-Day Energy Diet, which I wrote 10 years ago, I said, everything in this book is useless if you don't have a bigger purpose in life. Because what I've noticed in all of my years, and part of why I sold my nutrition and health business years ago was because I was just tired of talking about it. Because what I realized is that so many people get nitpicky around nutrition, and who cares? Like, just eat in a way that feels good to you. And if you overthink and overanalyze everything, you will 100% F yourself up. Because the energy you're putting into your food is one of stress, guilt, shame. It's not good, whatever it is, and it's exhausting. So to like nutrition, whatever you want to follow. If some people are vegan, meat-based, doesn't matter. Just eat in a way that feels good for your body. But mindset is 100% of everything, because your mindset will dictate what you choose to eat. If you feel like shit, you're going to eat foods that reinforce that. If you feel great, you have purpose and you've got a bigger objective that requires a little bit of energy, then you're going to do things that support that as well. And I think a big piece of the mindset is standards. If you are in a relationship with someone who, and this typically happens in most relationships, is people will enable each other. So you have one hard worker, one person who's very driven, and then their spouse is like, oh, honey, let's just like chill and have some pizza and ice cream tonight. And so that's fine.
Yeah.
But also understand that's a standard that you're now being held to. And is that the best standard from a nutrition perspective, from a overarching standards perspective to live your life? So I think there's so many facets to mindset that propel people, that hold them back. But I think one of the fastest ways to improve your mindset is hang around other people who just live at a different level, right? In terms of their own standards, how they approach life. And you're like, oh my God, like I didn't realize there's this whole other world over here. And I think that's very telling, because then you start to get a blueprint for how successful people think compared to maybe what you might be used to depending on your current environment. So I think that's, for me at least, been something I've always tried to do is put myself in environments that make me feel a little bit more incompetent, where I can learn from others who are further ahead.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not interested in copying people. I'm interested in modeling how they think. Like, how do you think about this problem? How do you think about this situation? Because if I can learn how you think, then I can start to act a little bit differently in accordance with that.
Yeah, and it's funny, I've said this on the previous episode as well, that biggest purpose of even this show is to be around the people where you want to be. This concept of Super Entrepreneurs Podcast is that I believe everyone is born super. It's just we allow a lot of cluttering to happen and we cover up our true potential by coming out and meeting with people that are thinking differently, feeling differently, and how they look at life and how they look at business. Being around that, it just makes my transformations much easier because now I'm around that environment. That's why I agree completely with what you're saying. And mindset is such a powerhouse when it comes to creating that fulfillment now rather than trying to find it later. And then run life from that place. Yeah.
And to your point,
so
I rented an Airbnb last summer, and we got to the Airbnb and it was disgusting. Like, the pictures were complete opposite of what we experienced in person.
What about the ratings?
I don't even know how the ratings were so good. I contacted them.
Oh, they were good.
Apparently, I'm like, I need to be refunded for this. This is disgusting. Went to the patio and we couldn't even sit on the furniture because it was full of dirt, dust, and cobwebs. And what you're saying is, like, that house, when it was first built, was perfect. And then it just went down because people didn't take care of it. And it's very much like us. To your point, I think all of us are super. We're born like these amazing beings. And then we're conditioned with all sorts of nonsense. And then we have to spend the rest of our lives getting rid of these layers of cobwebs and dirt and garbage so that we can reveal our true selves, right? That beautiful, pristine house that was initially built, but it was not taken care of over time. And it's very similar to what you were just mentioning.
What would you say to someone like that, an entrepreneur that is hustling and pushing and grinding to create something or leave something or win, get a goal, to feel accomplished, to feel successful, to see that they did something and it worked, that feeling they're pushing, but someone comes along and tells them, hey, listen, have you looked at a way to shift your mindset where this doesn't have to be that difficult and you can get better results? Because mindset is a broad term to use, and a lot of people feel that they already have the mindset. What would you say to someone that may benefit from some sort of internal shifting of the mind?
Most people are very optimistic about their odds at doing anything until they do it and realize it hasn't worked out. So life experience, or words can only warn, but life experience teaches. So I see this a lot with like early stage entrepreneurs, and they're about to do something. I'm like, this is going to be a complete catastrophe. And they're like, no, I feel pretty good about it. So I'm going to be on this one show for 5 seconds and it's going to bring me all this business. I'm like, oh my God. And there's nothing I can say to get them out of it. They have to experience the train wreck. And then they're like, oh, okay, now I'm like, I got what you're saying. So when it comes to mindset, the reality is no one likes buying, like no one wants to buy mindset. Like they want an outcome.
No.
And they have to recognize internally somewhere that their mindset's in the way. For instance, I spend a lot of time with my clients helping them build their selling skills. They're health professionals, they're looking to enroll clients, and they're charging whatever premium prices for an outcome. And it's interesting to see their perspective on what they think the limitation is. Like, hey, that was a perfect client. What happens? Like, why didn't they enroll? And we'll literally review their calls. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so walk me through what was happening when you presented the price and then started talking and explaining why it's priced the way it is for the next 5 minutes. And they're like, I just felt really uncomfortable. And like, it's like through the unpacking of their own limitations that I'm like, where do you think that's coming from? Do you not believe that you're worth this amount of money? And so a lot of times people are not aware they have a mindset issue. They're aware they have a problem, right? But they don't understand why they have the problem. Because it's blind spot.
Good point.
That's why people hire coaches. So it's like, why are you not able, coach, to hold your clients to a certain standard? What are you avoiding in having this hard conversation? Like, what feeling are you looking to avoid? And so I'm putting this off because I don't want to be seen as an asshole or whatever it is. Okay, cool. What would make you feel like you're being an asshole if you held someone to a higher standard?
Yeah.
And all of this is mindset stuff, but it's hard
all of it.
It's hard to speak to someone at the level without addressing the problem in the way that it's showing up for them. And once we've shown them the problem, they're a little bit more open-minded to like, I have no idea why this is happening. And then they become open to the possibility that it's between their ears. It's not a tactical thing. It's usually between the ears. Like the tactics take care of themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I say that when you have the right mindset, the strategies show up. So definitely. And health entrepreneurs, obviously the ones that are helping people live better, it's super important. And I remember you mentioned earlier about some people being very strict about what they eat. I knew someone back in the day, but they were counting macros and really making it very stressful and difficult. I'm not in the best shape, but what I do is I keep improving every week, and how I do it, where my spot is and where my comfort level is and where it's super manageable and I enjoy it, is I just don't eat anything all day. I just eat one meal a day at dinner, and it's a wholesome meal. And the rest is water, green tea, coffees, that kind of stuff. But I don't, on weekends, I'll have breakfast, omelet, and stuff like that. But that's what keeps me, getting better in shape. When I work out, it helps me with that. My mood is so amazing. I used to eat 3 meals a day and I would feel really heavy and stuff. And now I feel a lot more energetic. Obviously, the mindset, the main focus of it. But for someone that is working with clients, if there's a health entrepreneur that's trying to grow their business, what habits do they have daily to produce better results? Someone, for that example about counting macros and being very specific, in that same example, that person for their business might be doing certain things for their business to grow it and ignoring everything else because they just have a habit of that one way, right? How do you help them shift that habit? Because obviously it's hard, and we work on the subconscious to do that, but I'm just curious about how you do it to help them look at it as a bigger picture, zoom out and see there's other opportunities to look at new habits to see how they can improve their business, especially the ones that you may recommend your clients that try this new way of doing it. How do you make sure to keep doing it? Because there's still a requirement of consistency there to see some results from it.
Yeah. So one is they have to be aware that what they're doing isn't working.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the first stage. I'm not going to convince anyone of anything, but they have to come to the realization, look at your bank account, look at the impact you're making. It's not where you want. You have no time. You're working 100 million hours a week. You don't see your family. By all means, keep doing that if it's working, but it's not. So are you open to something else?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I think education is really important, right? So education, not like school system I could care less about, but education, like actually informing someone about here's how our clients do things, as opposed to, I don't think telling people what they should do ever works. So it's here's what you should do. As soon as we say that, as soon as we put a should in front of something, it puts up a wall of resistance.
Yeah.
Instead, what I would say is, hey, Shahid, I understand what you're going through. A lot of our clients feel the same way. Are you open to seeing what our clients do? as opposed to saying, you should do this. I'm saying, do you want to see what they're doing? Because now it's more of less of an attack on your ego and it's more of a voyeur. Let me see what they're doing. So the prospect becomes more open. Yeah. And you become more open-minded to like, let me see what they're doing. And they're getting all these results. Now I'm more receptive to this other way of doing things, whether it's different skills, different habits, and different system. And all we're looking for, is someone to be open-minded. Like you can't help someone who has a fixed mindset. And a fixed mindset is, this is the way it is. I can't grow. I can't change. I'm like, I can't help you. Sorry. A growth mindset is, cool. Tell me more. What does this look like? I'm open to exploring that. That's all we're asking for. So with respect to quote unquote selling somebody on a new way of living, I actually unsell them. I'm like, hey, by all means, like, why not just keep doing what you're doing? Like, I mean, why change? I like that. Because for me, it doesn't matter. I mean, my life is going to continue on. I'm going to continue serving my people. Why do you feel you have to change? And so I'm always, at least at this stage of my life, I don't sell anyone anything. I unsell everyone from just keep doing what you're doing. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I want to buy people into their bigger future, right? I'm interviewing people. Like I'm almost like Simon Cowell, if you will, on the American Idol or whatever the show is on now. I want to make sure that someone is through their own volition saying, I want this. I'm interested in this. I'm open to this. As opposed to, you should do this for sure. And they're like, I'll get to it at some point in the future. As soon as you change the nature of that conversation, that's when people start moving.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's like you want them to figure out they need it because then they're going to go all in. And you mentioned that in one of your examples earlier too. Can't remember what it was exactly, but it was an explanation of putting it in their court, making them realize that is something that they should be doing as a next step compared to telling them, even with kids. I don't know if you have kids, but even with kids, you try telling them, the ego gets in the way. It's just really difficult. And it's an art to bring it to their awareness to find out it's something they need.
Yeah, I think all we can do is model the behavior that we want to see in others. So like, I've got 4 boys. For me, like obviously, if I try to tell them stuff, they're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to say you should work out or you have to work out or you have to exercise. I'm just going to exercise. And at some point, if they're inspired by that, they'll join me. And if they're not, that's okay. And maybe at some point in their lives, they'll be like, yeah, my dad, he was pretty active. Maybe I can be active too.
Some point. Yeah, I could relate to that as well when it comes to mindset. I just live by example from family and friends. Before, I would give them pointers. Trying to help someone that may not want that help. So I just be that person. I'm just being that person. I would love for my kids, my family, everyone to work on their internal world. It's just not their time. But like you mentioned, it does happen because I remember when they were younger, I would say things and now I see them living that way. Even though at that time when I was saying it, they were fighting it, but now I'll see them when they communicate with others or friends or even amongst each other, for example, you will see that idea come into their action. And then you realize, wait a minute, they were still watching you, even though they might not agree when you try to tell them or help them, they're still listening.
Sponges. Yeah, they're great at modeling, but terrible at getting meaning.
Yeah. No, it's great. So any other projects on the go right now? Or you focus on this right now or anything you want to share?
This is my life's work. That the project is to help 1 billion people, to transform a broken sick care system, to empower everyday people to become their own doctor. Nothing else is more important than that. So every single day I do very boring work that moves us 1% closer to making that a reality. And I turn off the distractions to everything else.
Yeah. But I bet it's not boring to you though.
No, it's great. When I say boring work, it's like a lot of businesses, I think, confuse entertaining for progress. I'm not here to entertain myself with this business. I'm like, I know the very few things that we have to do to move forward. We focus on those things. There's no big launches. There's no big fireworks. It's just we keep chipping away and getting 1% better every day. And I believe that that's how you build something great. So that's what we're focused on.
No, definitely. It was great, Yuri. It was great to have you on the show, my friend. We added some good value. Your purpose is relatable. I'm hoping that somebody in the audience is also inspired to move on something that they've been sitting on for a while because of what other people may think or what they are saying internally, that the story, to get inspired and take that step and take that initiative and move forward. Because like you said, that 1% each day, for me, I devote everything to the internal world. I just know everything happens. It flows very nicely in the flow state. But they could awaken somehow from this information and say, you know what, I'm going after, I'm done with this. I'm going to go after what I want to go after. I'm going to leave that legacy that I always been dreaming to leave, because there's no difference. And humans are all have the incredible powers. They just need to go and make it happen. Right.
Yeah,
so
totally. For sure.
Yeah, I'm grateful to have met you. Definitely keep in touch, and
Thanks,
wishing
Shady.
you all the success and health.
Thank you. You too.